She's spoken often about putting values over the spotlight.
You never got me. This is bullshit. The referees are all in your pocket.
For Ronda Rousey, fame was never the ultimate goal. It was about health, family, and a pace of life she could live with. That's the real reason she walked away from WWE, not once, but twice, even when the stage was brightest. When Ronda Rousey first arrived in professional wrestling, it wasn't quiet. It was a thunderstorm. After dominating in judo and then becoming the face of women's MMA in the UFC, she shocked the sports world by signing with WWE in early 2018. Her first appearance came at the Royal Rumble. The crowd erupted when her music hit, and for a moment, the excitement felt unstoppable. WWE wasted no time making her the centerpiece of their women's division. Within months, her face was everywhere. On posters, TV spots, video games, merchandise. She captured the Raw Women's Championship and carried it for most of the year. That first run lasted about 14 months, culminating in the historic main event of WrestleMania 35 in 2019, the very first time women closed the show. It was Rousey, Charlotte Flair, and Becky Lynch on the biggest stage in the business. And then, almost as quickly as she arrived, she was gone. After WrestleMania, she disappeared, leaving fans stunned and sparking endless speculation online. When she returned in 2022, fans wondered if this time would be different. But just a year later, she walked away again. 2 runs, both ending abruptly, and the reasons go far deeper than storylines or injuries. From her own words, the reality is that being a WWE superstar clashed with her priorities. It was family over fame, health over hype, and creative frustration that eventually burned bridges with WWE's leadership. The grind of WWE hit her hard during that first run. Unlike UFC, where training camps build toward a fight, WWE demands constant travel. Performers can be on the road 200 days a year, with house shows, TV tapings, and premium live events filling nearly every week. On Steve-O's Wild Ride podcast in 2020, Rousey opened up about how brutal that pace was. She said she was practically full-time, on the road constantly, and asked herself, "What am I doing if I can't even spend that time with my family?" Interestingly, she didn't complain about the locker room. She said the work itself was fun. What drained her were the fans. In that same interview, she vented about feeling unappreciated, saying she wasn't interested in spending her time and energy on ungrateful crowds who booed her even when she put her body on the line. The boos she received near the end of her first run, especially opposite Becky Lynch, cut deep. To put it in perspective, she once compared the pain of wrestling to natural childbirth, saying the punishment she took in the ring made her rethink whether she could endure labor. That's how intense it was. So if she was going to sacrifice her body and time, she wanted the audience to at least value it. Some critics dismissed her frustration as just part of her heel character, but she clarified that her remarks were real. She wasn't playing a role. She was speaking as herself. She told outlets like Sports Illustrated that she would only ever return on a part-time basis for big matches, never a full schedule again. And she held to that promise. Her decision wasn't just about fans, though. It was about her life outside the ring. She had married UFC heavyweight Travis Browne in 2017, and they were open about wanting children. By late 2019, she told People magazine she wanted to give her family undivided attention and didn't want to steal TV time from other women in WWE who deserved the spotlight. She respected the division, she said, and didn't want to hold them back. That's why, after WrestleMania 35, she quietly shifted her focus. There was also a physical cost. She broke her hand in that WrestleMania match and needed surgery. Around the same time, she announced what she called an impregnation vacation on Instagram, making it clear she was trying to conceive. And in September 2021, she and Travis welcomed their daughter. When she finally returned at the 2022 Royal Rumble, the reaction was huge. She won the match, secured a WrestleMania title shot, and once again WWE positioned her as a major star. But this time, something felt different. Her second run was shorter, less impactful, and filled with creative frustrations. On screen, she seemed less engaged. Behind the scenes, rumors swirled about tension with management. She still won championships and worked with stars like Charlotte Flair and Liv Morgan, but the spark wasn't the same. By SummerSlam 2023, she was booked in a strange MMA rules match with her real-life friend Shayna Baszler. It ended quickly, with Baszler winning by technical knockout. The next day, Rousey was gone again. On Chris Van Vliet's podcast, she confirmed it was her swan song. She explained that she didn't want to put her kids through the road life or the stress of constantly changing scripts. And this is where her deeper criticisms of WWE come out. She described the company's creative process as chaotic, comparing it to a live sketch show with no script. She said scripts were handed to wrestlers at the last second, constantly rewritten, and sometimes torn up entirely, minutes before going on air. For someone like Ronda, who thrives on preparation and precision, this was maddening. She admitted her anxiety spiked because she never knew what would happen until she walked through the curtain. She also didn't hold back when it came to WWE leadership. In her memoir, Our Fight, and later interviews, she blasted the company's culture. She wrote that sexism was foundational to WWE, recalling how women once received 30 seconds of airtime before the Give Divas a Chance movement forced change. She accused executives like John Laurinaitis of scouting women based on looks rather than talent, and called the creative team incompetent yes men who bent to Vince McMahon's impulses. Her criticism wasn't vague, it was direct. She went so far as to say publicly, "Vince McMahon, Laurinaitis, and Bruce Pritchard can all suck a dick." That's not corporate language. That's the raw frustration of someone who felt personally betrayed by the system. At the same time, she praised the people she respected. Paul Heyman, for example, encouraged her to write her own promos and let her be creative. She credited him with empowering her and making her segments feel more authentic. That contrast between someone who valued her input and a system that dismissed it highlighted why she ultimately walked away. There were also health concerns. In 2024, she revealed on Instagram Live that she had suffered multiple concussions throughout her judo and MMA career, and even in WWE. She admitted that concussions were the main reason she had to retire from fighting. She had kept them secret in the past to avoid being targeted, but by then she was open about it. The damage was real, and it was serious. Even if WWE offered creative satisfaction, the risks of worsening her condition while raising a child made the schedule nearly impossible. Wrestling part-time at local indie shows, where she could control the pace and rehearse properly, was safer and more fulfilling. Some fans insist she left because she hated the audience, but that's oversimplifying. Yes, she vented about ungrateful fans. She admitted she was frustrated when crowds booed her despite her sacrifices. But in later interviews, she rarely mentioned fans at all. Her focus was on management, creative chaos, and systemic problems. To her, the real issue wasn't the audience, it was the company. Still, her rapid rise in WWE did create tension. Some wrestlers and fans felt she hadn't paid her dues. She was pushed to the top immediately, winning titles and headlining WrestleMania in her first year. That fast track made her a lightning rod for criticism. Rousey herself admitted she respected the women in the locker room and admired their grind, but she also felt the scripts and creative system didn't allow her to show what she could really do. When you combine all of this, the grueling travel, the chaotic scripts, the sexism behind the scenes, her desire to raise a family, and the long-term health risks, you see the full picture of why she left. It wasn't one moment. It wasn't one botched finish or one bad promo. It was years of frustrations, layered with personal priorities, until walking away was the only choice. And so, by mid-2024, Ronda Rousey officially closed the WWE chapter of her career. She made history in the ring, main evented WrestleMania, and brought mainstream attention to women's wrestling. But when the system couldn't bend to fit her values, she chose to step away.